Not long ago, you would never associate a pickup truck with luxury. They were strictly utilitarian vehicles. However, here in 2025, this is what it's all about, is pure luxury with the new Ram Tungsten. And today we're gonna figure out why this $87,000 starting price truck, 93 as shown in the video, is, well, anywhere near that price in the first place.
In today's video, we're going to take a brief look at the Ram Tungsten, and there is a lot of all new first for the Ram, and those are going to be fun to unpack with you guys here on Performance on Wheels. By the way, my name is Todd. My son Austin and I, we make all sorts of videos on all sorts of different cars. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button as I have mittens on because it's freezing out, so you can join us on our journey.
I do give a huge shout out to Apple Autos and Apple Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for supplying the Ram Tungsten used in today's video. And if you're interested in purchasing a Tungsten, this one is currently available for sale for just over $80,000, $12,000 off sticker. So if you guys are interested in purchasing, be sure to check out the link down in the description below.
Let's unpack what is new with Ram, and also leading into Tungsten, a new trim line for 2025 with the Ram. So we did get a refresh with the design. We did cover that already in a previous video, but there is something special about the Tungsten that stands out, and that is with the design with the headlights, the front. If we start talking under the hood, Austin will get there in just a second, but we have 22-inch wheels. Like, this thing is a powerhouse of luxury. I personally think the most fun comes with this truck when you get to the inside. And again, it's not only because it's cold out, it's actually a pretty special place. Austin, tell us about this motor.
This is the Hurricane inline-six twin-turbo high output, making 540 horsepower and just over 500 pound-feet of torque. This is an absolute powerhouse, the most powerful pretty much engine in its class of the 1500 variants, excluding the Raptor R. And the TRX, of course. This is an absolute unit of an engine. This is what we can also find in the new TRX replacement, Ram RHO, which, I mean, it's kind of in the name, HO, high output. This thing is kind of a beast, and check out how quick this thing launches to 60. We're gonna go ahead and hit this high output inline-six twin turbo from a roll and see what it has. And just before my dad says a few more things about that high output Hurricane, check out the Tungsten specific front end. This grille is absolutely beautiful. They did such a good job designing this, and don't say anything negative about there being some frost in the headlights. It's negative 20 degrees outside, so we gotta give Ram some credit here.
Yeah, you really get to see what a truck is capable of when it's this cold, or any vehicle for that matter. It shows a whole different level of like quality, right? Speaking of quality, this is the first year of that straight six turbo. Says right on the hood, you know that Ram has that, and you know that this is the big dog, like Austin mentioned, over 540 horsepower, over 520 pound-feet of torque. That's the HO. Don't confuse it with the SO, right? And that's the lower variant, output. The standard output of the straight six turbo, right? So the thing that's fun here, and you hit on it a little bit, is like this is the top dog out of all the competition. So like the V6 Raptor, more horsepower. The one thing that I do find interesting, however, is yeah, you have all this power and you have all this speed, but it's not like it's a performance truck, which we've been having a good time with the F-150 sleepers, right?
Yeah, with the 5-liter Whipple supercharged V8.
Right, so you have all this stuff, but I do want to just cover it really quick that there's not a ton of capability here. We only have about 7,800, as my lips are literally freezing together in this video, 7,800 pounds of towing capacity. So that is like less than a Raptor F-150. And a Raptor has less towing capability because of that off-road suspension.
Yeah.
We have an air ride suspension, an adjustable one here in the Tungsten, which that does make it for an enjoyable experience that gives you the luxury, the sport, as well as some additional ground clearance if you are going to be going off-road. But this is a half-ton truck that is focused on luxury with some truck capabilities, but it's not like all the capability that a half-ton can offer.
That is very true, and I don't know if you happen to just notice the whole thing lowering there, but that was a quick showcase of its air suspension travel. Now, one of the other things that makes it not as capable, well, actually, let me go to the back and show you. It kind of depends on the person that you are when it comes to capability, and that is because of the RAM boxes. Now, these little boxes are quite beneficial. They have a power outlet in here. There's a good chunk of storage down in the corners. However, you cannot get a Tungsten without the RAM boxes, and you may be thinking, why is that an issue? Well, your bed space is dramatically decreased. You're talking about the size bed that like a Ford Maverick has because of how much the RAM boxes intrude into the bed space of the Tungsten. So if you're looking for a full-size pickup bed, the Tungsten is not going to be an option for you. Behind the wheel of the Ram 1500 Tungsten is a quite pleasant place to be. It is very quiet. It is a pretty windy day here in Minnesota. It's actually currently negative 20 degrees out, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Quite a chilly day, to say the absolute least. And with all the excessive wind that's going on right now, I quite honestly can't hear it. Even cruising here at 55, 60 miles an hour, the wind noise is very impressively tuned out. It's quite amazing how good of a job they did with the sound deadening insulation inside of this truck. It's probably better than anything that I've ever experienced before, to be honest with you. One of the other things I'm noticing with this Ram is how level the body is staying while going around turns. The lack of body roll is quite impressive. I'm not sure if they retuned the air suspension differently, but just how flat and smooth the body stays, no matter the turn you're going around, is definitely quite impressive. And to touch on that acceleration I just did from the roll there, quite impressive low-end torque. It definitely picks up quite quickly. I do like the way the transmission shifts in the Tungsten. I feel like it's a little bit more aggressive than I felt in the other models, especially here in sport mode. It kind of reminds me of like the Hellcats when they let off that blip on the shift. You kind of hear that in the Tungsten here, but obviously it sounds a little bit different being paired to the Hurricane opposed to a Hemi. Hear that? Me either. Probably one of the quietest experiences I've ever had in a stoplight in a vehicle. The engine sound it's there, but it's very, very quiet and subtle. It's actually really fun to accelerate in. It's got a great sound to it. Definitely a lot more aggressive sound once you start getting into the higher RPM, unlike what we experienced in like some of the lower trends like Laramie of Ram. It's so impressive how nice of a driving experience this is. You really have to experience it in person, and just how flat and stable it is around corners and planted it is. It just truly is such a luxurious place to be behind the wheel of. I just spent a few minutes enjoying the Klipsch sound system used inside of this Ram 1500, which features more speakers than have ever been seen inside of a pickup truck. 23 speakers, including a 12-inch subwoofer, which is just massive. That is a massive subwoofer inside of a factory vehicle. And I must admit, I'm quite impressed, but I'm also a little bit disappointed. There were some fellow employees at the dealership before we showed up that were playing around with the sound system, and they turned up the subwoofer on this, and with a high bass song, I can still hear some rattles up inside of the dashboard, which is to be expected being a 12-inch subwoofer. But on a vehicle at the price point that this is at and promoting the sound system so much, I'd really like it if we didn't hear some of those crackles and rattles that I'm hearing inside of the dash. But if we do take that out of the account and just enjoy the sound system as a whole, it is quite impressive. It is very immersive. It brings a nice 360-degree sound as me sitting here as a driver.
And the passenger agreed. It is a great sound system. It's quite impressive how loud it gets. It gets exceptionally loud. The quality is there, but I'd almost rather have even more quality with less volume.
Inside the Ram Tungsten is really where we need to spend a lot of time and hopefully do a good job articulating how special this is. Like, I do agree that this is the most luxurious truck that is on the market currently. I don't think there is any denying that. And let's talk over some of those key points. So starting with the display, you have the nice digital display right in front of you. And well, what's interesting about that is not only does the passenger have a 10.25-inch screen, but the driver has a 12-inch screen. And also in the middle, there's about a 14.25-inch screen. So ultimately, there is over 50 inches of screen that the Tungsten has. That is the largest available screen, like in class. That's quite incredible. 50 inches of screen, that's like the size of a massive TV that you put in your house, to put it into perspective. So you combine all the screens together, that's where you come up with the 50 inches. The one thing I do want to highlight, just because it's fun, they thought about this, is over on the passenger side, like there's different things you can do. You can control the audio, you can hook up an HDMI. So obviously with HDMI connectivity, there's a lot of options that you can bring to the table there. You can control the climate control, you can control the navigation, you can look at all the cameras that the Ram Tungsten has. So there's really a lot of fun options here, not only for the driver, but also the passenger. Going back to the middle screen, like there are so many different features. And what I really like about it is everything is easy to use. The climate controls that are both on the outside for the driver as well as the passenger over on the passenger side, easy to understand, easy to navigate. And then when you start getting into all the touch settings, it seems that everything is working and responding very well, even when it's really cold out. So that's nice to see. We are noticing some slight delay over on the passenger screen, but I'm not gonna critique that too hard, just given the fact that it's so cold out. When you go down to the storage, like there's a massive amount of storage, and I do appreciate that. There's obviously a phone charger for not only the driver, but also the passenger, a wireless charger that is. And they did integrate a nice spot between both of the phones so that you can plug a cord into the bottom of the phone as well as having it on the charger. And underneath the center console, there's like endless storage options. I love the fact that they have a similar like nameplate that makes you understand that you're in something special. Ram offers a very similar plaque in the TRX that kind of says the production numbers. Well, here in the Tungsten, we have the VIN number that's on there, and it's just a really cool, intricate design. It makes it feel special in here. Speaking of special, look at the headliner. The headliner is all fabric. It looks really nice. It looks luxurious. There's so many things to point out. You have the obvious options like the video rear view camera, the ability to open and close your tailgate from the comfort of the driver's seat, 24-way adjustable seats that have some amazing massage function that is all new for 2025, and just talking about the detail. So we have this beautiful diamond stitched, like crossed weave stitching throughout all of the interior essentially. You have numerous different colors, like the seats alone have this cream color, but then they have like this beige piping along with stitching that contrast with a darker gray. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal from a look standpoint. Austin did bring up the speakers, and they are everywhere when you start looking around. It's quite incredible. The one material that I forgot to point out is almost like a carbon fiber weave that blends in really nicely with the leather. There's minimal plastic hard touch points throughout the Tungsten interior. So I must say, like, this feels like it should be a high caliber $90,000 truck.
And one of the things that's cool about those materials is, according to Ram, they're all completely real. It is real carbon fiber. Real leather is wrapped everywhere. All of the headliner, real Alcantara, everything. It is real. And that's something that I think is really cool about the Tungsten. And what's really crazy to me is, like, the caliper of this truck, the quality of this truck is so unbelievably high that honestly, it being in the $90,000 price point is quite impressive to me, because we're talking about like platinum F-150s being, you know, around 10 grand less, or even somewhere close to this if they're optioned properly. And I think this interior is on a whole nother level compared to a platinum F-150. So this really did step it up a whole nother notch, and I'm quite impressed that Ram did such a good job with this truck.